Welcome back, everybody, to LearnPianoLive.com. Glad you could join us tonight for our lesson on Intro to Chords. How you doing, Nano?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
They can't tell you.
Well, I hope you're doing good.
But I can tell you I'm great, and assuming that they're in half as good a mood as we are, they're doing great too.
Oh, it's a good Monday.
It feels like it's been forever, though. Does it feel like a long time to you, or no?
I don't know. I had a long weekend, so yeah, it does. It does. It really does.
All right, cool. Well, anyway, tonight we're talking about Intro to Chords. So again, this is the beginner lesson, so if you're an advanced player, you're probably going to be a little bit bored here. And if you're a beginner and you feel like this is moving way too fast, then let us know. Tell Nano in the chat. You can do that by downloading or by entering the chat. Should be right, I'm guessing right here, somewhere like that. Also, you'll want to download your PDF that's off to the side as well. Don't worry about the MP3 right now. I'll tell you how to use that later. But you'll need that PDF, and let's get started. So we're talking about chords, and the reason that you'll need these, and common chord progressions, actually. So changing from chord to chord. I'm going to tell you what a chord is. Don't worry. So moving from chord to chord, and the most common moves that there are in different songs, so you can practice those and be ready when it's time for you to play that song, and they'll say, play a C, and then an F, and then a G, and you go, yes, I've done that before in my beginner introduction to chords, most common chord progressions lesson with Jamin at LearnPianoLive.com. So anyway, that'll go very well for you. Also, knowing the most common chord progressions means that you can write better songs. So and right now, writing songs might seem like that's kind of out of your league, but I think you'll see tonight that it actually doesn't take a whole lot to write a relatively popular, easy to listen to song. So let's get started. You'll need your PDF. Again, hopefully you've already opened that up. I'll open it up here for you so you can see. We've got the common chord progression, and the first thing you need here is chord families. So chords show up in groups usually. So like I said, the C chord, the F chord, and the G chord, those are three chords that you'll often find right together. Now a chord is just more than one note being played at the same time. So for example, here I'm on C, and then E, and then G. If you play those three notes together, that makes a C major chord. And we'll talk about major and minor and all that stuff later. So when you play more than one note at the time, then you're playing a chord. So this is a C chord. If we go up to F and do the same exact thing, we go C, D, E, F, we go up to F, we play every other note, and that right there is an F chord. We play starting on G, and every other note, that's a G chord. So you'll notice in your PDF, if we are in the key of C, so right over here on the side, you see the key of C. The first chord that you see there is a C chord. So that's that one that we just played a second ago. Go ahead and play that one, a C, and then an E, and then a G. And usually you're going to use your left hand to play whatever the name of the chord is. You're going to play that same note down here. So you'll see we've got a C down here. We could play a C right there along with our C chord and just give it a little bit more oomph, a little bit more body. So that would be playing a C. Now, the second chord that you're going to have in the key of C, possibly, is at D minus, and the minus means minor. Now, for right now, you don't have to worry about what minor means. We'll talk about that in a minute. But for right now, we're going to go to D, and we're going to go every other note. So D, and then F, and then A. And of course, we're going to throw that D down here as well. Since we're playing a D minor, we're going to play a D down here. And that's the second chord you would see in the key of C. And then the third one is going to be E minor. It would just be like that, every other note starting on E, and then F chord that we already played, and then a G chord, and then the A minor, and then after that we have a B half diminished. Don't worry about B half diminished. You won't need that one. But anyway, the first six chords at least are very important. Now, if you didn't see the one we had on songwriting and the blues scale and all that stuff, go check those videos out in the archives, because that has a lot to do with this week's lesson, because we talked about chord progressions in those lessons as well. So that talks about like the 1, 6, 4, 5 and the blues pattern and all that stuff. Those are all chord progressions as well. So tonight we're going to talk about a couple others. But anyway, that's the concept behind chord families. You need to know what key are you in, and then based on what key you're in, you're going to be able to find out what are the chords that are going to be most common to use. So, for example, if you want to write a song in the key of C, you're going to want to use a C chord, and then maybe a D chord, and then maybe an F chord. And then let's throw in a G for good measure. So if we just did that, the C, the D, the F, and the G that I honestly picked at random right now. I didn't select those ahead of time. That would sound something like this. That's the C chord, D chord, the F chord, and then the G chord, and then we could just loop it again. D chord, F chord, and then the G chord. If I do that with my left hand, then I've got some room over here to play a melody. I don't know, I'm just making that up based on those random chords I just picked. They work together because they're all part of the same chord family. So when you're in the key of D, for example, over here, we've got these chords that usually go together, the D chord, the E minor chord, the F sharp minor, the G, the A, all that stuff. So at this point, you need to know how to build like an F sharp minor chord. So let me show you a couple of tricks. I threw these in on your PDF as well. If you go to the second page, this week we have a second page to our PDF. It's got actually a cheat sheet for all of the chords that you're going to see on that sheet, all the major and minor chords. So if you need, we just talked about an F sharp minor chord. If we go over here, we're going to want the minor column, and then we're just going to want to go down to the F sharp, stay in the minor column, and then go down to the one that says F sharp. It's right there. And so those are the 3 notes that you're going to play for your F sharp minor chord. It's going to be this one right here, which is a G flat, this one right here, which is an A, and then this one right here, which is a D flat. And that is your F sharp minor chord. Of course, you could throw this note here in the bottom. So you've got a list literally of every single major and minor chord that you're going to need anywhere in that second page there. So that's how we're going to build our major and our minor chords that are on this sheet. Now, obviously, there's 12 keys here. So there's the key of C, the key of D flat, the key of D, the key of E flat, the key of E. Start with probably C because it's going to be all white notes. From there, you might want to try out an F, and from there, you might want to try the chords in the key of G. But just stick with those since we're at the beginning level. Get familiar with the chord set in the key of C and maybe 1 or 2 other keys, but don't try to don't get overwhelmed by learning all 12 chords or all 6 chords in all 12 keys, and it's just going to be too much. And honestly, you're not going to see a lot of those very frequently. So at this point, we're talking about chord progressions. I got 2 that I want to show you tonight. The first one is a 1-4-5. Just playing the 1 chord in the key of C. We're starting on the first note in the key of C, and back to our PDF. The 1 chord in the key of C is a C chord. And then the 4 chord on our PDF in the key of C is an F. So we're going to go up to F, play the F chord, and then the 5 chord is the G. And that alone is in a lot of songs. In fact, it's the entirety of a lot of songs. I've got a lot of songs here that I can show you tonight. I'm going to show you 2 here. La Bamba is the first one that just uses the 1 chord, the 4 chord, and the 5 chord. And conveniently, it's all in the key of C as well. So we're in the key of C. We're going to use the 1 chord, the 4 chord, the 5 chord. We're going to try to play along with them, even though they go kind of fast. So if you can't keep up, that's fine. Practice your transition from 1, 4, 5 in the key of C over and over and over, and you'll be able to play La Bamba. Here's how it goes. One, 4, 5. 1, 4, 5. 1, 4, 5. 1, 1, 4, 5. 1, 4, 5. 1, 4, 5. And it goes over and over and over and over. And that is the entire song. It's just 1, 4, 5 over and over. Also in the key of C is this song, Great Balls of Fire. So that's the 1, 4, 5, 4, 1. So the 1 chord, 1, 4, 5, 4, 1. And then he goes over and over. Oh, it's going to go again. There we go. Nope. There we go. So anyway, that's Great Balls of Fire. Is just the 1 chord, the 4 chord, and the 5 chord. So obviously you can write a song that is really popular and fun to listen to, and just use the 1, the 4, and the 5. And like I said, there's lots of other songs, especially once you start going into other keys. Let me show you one more. This one's going to be in the key of, let's pick A. So we're going to use this chord here. That's going to be the 1, the 4, and the 5. Don't worry about playing along with this one because we're not there yet. But we're going to be in the key of A. So if we go down to the key of A in our PDF, the 1 chord is going to be A. So that's going to be that one right there. So it's an A, a C sharp, and an E. The 4 chord is going to start on a D. It's going to be a D, F sharp, and an A. And that's because the 4th chord in the key of A on your PDF, A, B minor, C sharp minor, D is the 4th chord. And then the 5 chord is going to be the E, which is an E, a G sharp, and a B. So there's a lot of black notes in this one. But the 1, the 4, the 5. And let's go with Wild Thing. One, 4, 5. 1, 4, 5. 1, 4, 5. 1, 4, 5. And it's just gonna go 1, 4, 5, 1, 4, 5.
Wild Thing.
So anyway, that's the 1, 4, 5 progression. By the way, when you see me playing here, I'm getting my fingers out of the way so that you can see what notes are being played. I don't usually normally use this shape to play my chords. Usually I'm gonna have my hand out like this, but if I'm playing like this, then you can't see what I'm doing down here and which notes I'm playing and which notes I'm not playing. So don't copy my technique. It's terrible. I'm just trying to get my fingers out of the way so you can see exactly what notes I'm playing. All right, so now we're gonna talk about the 1, 6, 4, 5 progression, because after we get the 1, 4, 5 progression down, and you practice that in the key of C, the key of F, the key of G, the key of A, and you practice that in all the different keys so that when someone says, hey, let's play in the key of A, you're already set, you're ready for your 1 chord, your 4 chord, and your 5 chord. Now we're gonna throw in the 6 chord. So this progression in the key of C, again, C is gonna be number 1 for us. That's gonna be our 1 chord. We're gonna go up to the 6th chord. So it's gonna be the 6th note, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or you can just go to your PDF and look for the number 6. And in the key of C, it says that the 6th chord is an A minor, that note, that note, that note. That's our 6th chord. So you've got the 1 chord, then the 6th chord, and then the 4 chord, which is our F, and then the 5 chord is a G. And there we go. We've got a 1 chord, a 6 chord, a 4 chord, and a 5 chord, and that progression is used in even more songs than the 1, 4, 5. I got lots of examples. A lot of these are not in the key of C, but you're already familiar with how to watch for the 1, the 4, and the 5. So we're gonna add in the 6. This one's gonna be in the key of A, so we're gonna use the 1, the 6, the 4, the 5. You can just trust me on this one. It's gonna be 1, 6, 4, 5. Is how you would play along with it. Now, I'm actually gonna do something to my piano so it changes what key it's in, and so you can see it in the key of C. So this is gonna be 1 chord up to the 6th chord, then the 4 chord, then the 5 chord. If you play those notes on your piano along with me, it's gonna sound absolutely wretched because my piano's not actually playing a C, an E, and a G. It's like processing the notes and coming out so that it will play it along with this track. I don't know if that made any sense. I'm trying to say don't play along. So here we go. This one is Stand By Me. So that's our 1 chord right there. Here's our 6 chord. Here's our 4 chord. And then our 5 chord. And then it's going to end on 1. So our progression is 1, 6, 4, 5. 1, 6, 6, 4, 5, 1. 1, 6, 4, 5, 1. Down to the 6. Sorry, not yet. Now, down to the 6, 4, 5, 1. And as soon as you get familiar with playing that in the key of C, by the way, let me get back to the key of C with you. All right, now you can play along with me. So as soon as you're familiar with playing the chords and transitioning between the 1, the 6, the 4, and the 5, you'll want to start practicing that in the left hand too. So we can play the 1, the 6, the 4, and the 5, and you can start playing melodies and stuff with your right hand. You'll have all that free to... So that chord is kind of going to be the bass that like holds everything down while a melody happens on top of it. So if you're playing in a band, usually there's going to be a singer or an electric guitarist who's playing the melody part over top of it. But if you're by yourself, your left hand is going to be the band. It's going to be holding down all those chords, and your right hand is going to be playing all the melody stuff, all the more interesting stuff. So anyway, that's your 1, 6, 4, 5 progression. And if you want a list of songs that has the 1, 6, 4, 5, you just got to Google 1, 6, 4, 5 chord progression, and there will be hundreds and probably thousands of songs that use the 1, the 6, the 4, and the 5. So anyway, that's it. I want to show you our featured tip of the day, but first, if you got questions about the lesson so far, then please send those to Nano by entering your first name and your question in the window below and clicking the button Submit, and that will send your question to Nano, and we'll get to those in just a second. First, though, I do want to show you our feature of the day. This is when we're playing a chord, so you're familiar with the C chord so far, we have these things called inversions that make it way easier to transition. So for example, if you're going from a 1 chord to a 5 chord, that's a huge jump. And when you're trying to go from that chord all the way up to the 5 chord, in the leap, you're gonna end up like hitting other notes and stuff. So we use this thing called inversions. Here's the deal. A C chord is a C, an E, and a G. It's a C, an E, and a G. If you're playing a C and an E and a G all at the same time, you're playing a C chord. It doesn't matter where the C and the E and the G are. So we got C and E and G. So that's a C chord. Or we could play C, E, and G. That right there is a C chord as well. Let me zoom in here so you can see what I'm talking about. So a C, an E, and a G. If we put this G down here, this is still a C chord because it's a C, an E, and a G. Or we could put the C up here. That right there is a C and an E and a G, and that is still a C chord. So with inversions, you can change around the chords, and now instead of jumping from our 1 chord all the way up to our 5 chord, we can go 1 chord, all right, 5 chord, I need an easier way to play this. I need some of these notes to be further down here so it's all in the same area. We're going to take this D right here and play that D down here instead, and so that's still my 5 chord, it's still a G chord, but it's still kind of far away. I'm going to take this note right here, this B, and play it down here, and now I can play this. This is still the 5 chord, even though it looks nothing like the 5 chord, and even though the lowest note is not a 5. This is still a G chord. So now this is my 5 chord, this is my 1 chord. So I can go 1 chord, 5 chord, 1 chord, 5 chord. If I want to go a 4 chord, I can go down to here, that's a 4 chord. So anyway, with inversions, you can take any of the notes that you want and put them wherever it's convenient for you to play them. All right, so hopefully you've got questions in now. Nano, what do we got?
Yes, okay, so the first one comes from Jan, and Jan wants to know, how do I know what key I'm supposed to play in?
Well, this whole lesson has been assuming that you know what key you're playing in. Now, if you're writing a song, you can write it in any key you want, so it doesn't matter. You could write it in the key of C or the key of F or the key of G. In fact, that's why if piano players write songs, they often write them in the key of C, is because there's no black notes, and so it's easier for us.
Makes it easier for them.
Right,
That's cool.
exactly. So, if you're writing it, you get to write it in any key you want. However, if you're playing along with something else, you got to find out what key they're playing in. So, if you're playing in a band, you're going to ask your band leader or someone else in the band. Hopefully somebody knows what key the song's being played in. And then, if you're listening to it on the internet, I'd say search up the song, say what key is song X in, and hopefully you can find it.
Cool. The next one comes from Phil, and it's not really a question, but he says he can't get the D minor chord right. So maybe you could show him it again, or...
Okay. Yeah, sure.
I think that would be cool.
Sure. So the D minor chord, it's going to be the 2 chord in the key of C. So in the key of C, we got the 2 chord is going to be a D minor, and it's going to start on D because D is the name of it. Let's go to the second page actually real quick. I'll show you. So we want to go to the key. We wanted minor chord, so we're in the minor column, and then the D. If we go down to D, it says we want to play D, F, and A. So we're going to play D, F, and A. So that's the D minor chord right there. You could throw in a D down here for good measure, and that's the D minor chord. So hopefully that answers your question. If it didn't, re-ask it maybe a different way so I understand it better.
Cool.
All right. Wait,
And
hang on. Let me. There you go.
Cool.
We don't ask questions about your beautiful face.
The next one comes from James, and he wants to know, can he ever use chords that aren't in the chord family?
Yeah, I'm assuming that James is talking about writing songs. And so, yes, you can. For example, if you're writing in the key of C, you could have like a D chord in there, a D major chord, with an F sharp. If you are thinking about doing that, then, or if you've already done that, or you transcribed a song that has that in it, you're probably going to belong better in the intermediate or the advanced lessons, because those are called secondary dominants and stuff, and we deal with that kind of stuff all the time in those lessons. But yes, the short answer is you absolutely can. The longer answer is don't really do that until you're already familiar with the chord families. If you see a song that has a C and a D minor and an E minor and an F and a G, it's pretty much for sure that that song is in the key of C, and that's kind of the goal, is that you'll be able to look at songs and just tell by looking at what chords you're supposed to be playing in that song what key they're in. So I wouldn't mess with that stuff until you're really familiar with the chord families. But if you're really familiar with the key of C, for example, like there's not an E major in there, and that your B, if you're on a B, then it's going to be half diminished chord. If you're already familiar with all that, then yeah, absolutely experiment around with using all the black notes and stuff, or going outside the key. So hopefully that answers the question.
Very cool. That's it for tonight.
All right, cool. Hey, if you enjoyed this lesson, please tell your friends. We depend on your word of mouth to tell other people about us and to grow and stuff. So tell a friend if you liked it. If you didn't like it, don't tell a friend. Thanks. But there is actually a survey off to the left, unless you're on an iPhone, and then it's at the bottom. Anyway, check out the little thing that says survey. If there's something wrong with the lesson, or if you were unable to chat with us, for example, or any kind of tech issues, if you got any problems with what we're doing, let us know through the survey. And next time we're going to be talking about voicing pop chords. And so we're going to talk about, like we talked about inversions today, cool ways to make your pop songs sound better at a beginning level. And real quick, before I forget, we need to do the MP3. So if you download the MP3 right now, and then go to your PDF, let me show you this. Over on the second page, it says MP3. Now your MP3 is huge. It's like 10 megs, which is, I think, 13 minutes this week is your MP3. It's crazy. But anyway, it's because it's in a lot of different keys. All you need is the first probably 2 to 3 minutes of it. And it's just going to run you through a bunch of chord progressions. So the first one's going to be in the key of C, and it's going to play a 1 chord, and then a 4 chord, and then a 5 chord, and then a 5 chord. So you're going to do exactly what we did tonight with all those other songs that I played for you. We're going to do that, only you're going to play along with the MP3. It's going to run you through the 1 chord, and then the 4 chord, and then the 5 chord, and then it's going to play the 5 chord again, and then the next time you hear a change, it'll be the 1 chord, and then the 4 chord, and then the 5 chord, and you just keep on following along. Then after that, it goes to the 1 chord, and then the 6 chord, and then the 4 chord, and the 5 chord. The goal is to just run you through a whole bunch of progressions so you can get really familiar with switching chords within a key. If you play through all of the C and it all goes beautifully and you feel like it's too easy, then just keep listening. After that, as it says here, it's going to change to the key of G. It's going to do the exact same numbers but in the key of G. Then it'll do the exact same numbers in the key of F, and then A flat, and then D flat. So anyway, that's your MP3 for this week. And if I forgot anything else, let us know. Send us an email at admin, ADMIN, at LearnPianoLive.com, or just tell us in the chat next time. I'll see you later. Thanks. Bye.